Hi, we are back once again with Five Nights with Harry by Harry Lefort. We're on chapter 9, but what happened last time was Harry went on like a little day trip with Michelle and her friends, and everyone found out about the magic and the ghosts. So Erica and Lisa didn't know either of them, and then Erica and Michelle knew one of them, but everyone now knows about all that. We then discovered that the toy animatronics are possessed by kids. I've forgotten the names. I think Toy Bonnie is Rebecca or Becca. Mangold is, oh god, Vicky, I think. Balloon Boy is Robbie. Toy Freddy is Andrew. Here we go. Andrew. And then Toy Shooter is Chelsea, and that's it, I believe. Yeah. Okay. So that happened. So all that happened, and also we got a little interaction between the manager of Freddy Fazbear's and Freddy's sister, which hints to what happens to the night guards in that. So that's that, I believe. All that happened in chapter 8, but now we're on chapter 9, so let's get started. A few minutes later, Erica returned with a bag of tools next to her, which she unzipped and looked into. Let's see now. She leaned into where Mangold was clutched onto Harry and turned on her penlight as she looked at the throat. Now this is interesting. There's a built-in police radio? Wonder why they added that. Busted, though. Harry raised an eyebrow as he stroked the top of Mangold's head. Fixing her voice box? While she worked with some small tools, Erica nodded. Yeah, I think that giving her voice back is far more important than anything else so that she can communicate. Is that okay, Vicky? Unsure, Vicky and Mangold nodded. Suddenly, Erica stopped and stared. What in the fucking hell am I looking at here? Who the fuck was the last one who worked on this? From where she was watching, Rose spoke up. Mangold was originally the toy Foxy. She was a rather beautiful animatronic. They made it too easy to take her apart in the name of safety, so the kids and the toddlers who she entertained kept ripping her apart for kicks. Eventually they stopped repairing her entirely, because they had to do it every day, and left her like, well, that. They started to call her the Mangold soon after, as they made her into a take it apart and put it back together attraction. That caused Erica to pause for a moment before they could all hear her grind her teeth together. Those complete and utter. She trailed off into snarls and growls as she worked. Finally, Erica shook her head. I can't fucking fix this. Half the components are fried to hell and back, and the others are either corroded shit or so filled with dirt and dust they're nearly complete write-offs. A thought then occurred to her as she dug into her bag. I have some new wood boxes here. Several minutes later, after swearing and such, Harry frowned as she pulled away. Well? Erica wiped her forehead and smiled as she closed the throat section. Should work. Go ahead and give it a shot. A moment later, the broken animatronic worked her mouth for several moments before there was a burst of static and a feminine voice came out. Hello? She blinked before she smiled with some liquid escaping from her eyes as she hugged Erica. Thank you. With a smile on her face, Erica just nodded and patted her back. You're welcome. Several seconds passed before Vicky pulled away from the hug and Freddie Curry's throat. As much as I hate to do this, and I do, trust me as I know how it is, I think that we need to know exactly what happened to you that caused this. Where were you, and what is the last thing that you remember? There was a pause, as Andrew, the body of Toy Freddy, furrowed his eyebrows before he gestured at both Chelsea, Toy Chica, and Becca, Toy Bonnie. We grew up together in a foster home that was not nice. So one day, we ran away, and have been living on the streets for about 3 months. Becca then took over. Last thing we remember was that we were settling in for the night in a stack of crates we had found and put some cardboard over. Everything suddenly got really cold, and we started thinking of all the bad times in the home. Next thing I saw, Andrew was yanked out by something. There was a sucking sound, and he dropped with his eyes open and unseeing. Then she sniffed a bit. I felt something grab me, and I saw this thing in a hood. I felt like it was pulling something from me. Pale-faced, Harry felt like he was about to throw up. Oh, Merlin, a Dementor. At their looks, he showed some. They're creatures. They kind of look like the Grim Reaper or Ringwraiths. They feed on positive emotions and suck them out of people, leaving them with their worst memories. I remember the day that my mom died, and I can hear her screaming to kill her, not me. There was another shudder, and Harry could feel Mangled arms tighten best they could around him. They can also suck out a person's soul and eat it, which sounds like what happened. Why are you here now? Now also pale, Lisa gulped as she held on to Bonnie, who blinked and looked down at her in confusion. Wasn't that what attacked us early today? His eyebrows furrowed into a frown. Harry nodded. Yeah. They're used as prison guards at Azkaban, though they follow Voldemort. That turned out to be the wrong thing to say, as Michelle stared at him. Prison guards? And he's risking that for me? However, the attempter was soon attracted as Bobby / little boy spoke up. Something like that happened to me, except I was under some playground equipment. Officers came and took some police officers came and took away mommy and daddy after they found me with a box that they told me to take to one of their friends. I just ran away best that I could and was hiding when, as he trailed off, Harry glanced at Foxy, who nodded and placed a paw on Robbie's shoulders. Hearing a sound, they turned to Vicky, who sighed. Not much different in my case, though. I ran away from home when I was 10 because my dad was always angry and yelling at me. He was always telling me that I had killed my mom, so I was hiding out in an alleyway in a nearby town when the same thing as the others happened to me. Feeling something, Vicky looked up and saw Rose with her one good eye as she stroked Fox's head slowly and gently. Well, there's only one thing to say then. The golden-colored animatronic then shared a look before each of them hugged a toy animatronic. Welcome to the family. The humans all watched this happen with sad expressions on their face. After the animatronics had separated, Harry cleared his throat. We still need to come up with some plans for what happens now. We can't have them stay up here during the day when the pizzeria is active, as their own management will throw a hissy fit at police. Possibly scrap them at worst. Bonnie grimaced as he sat down and placed his chin on his closed floor. Yeah, those guys likely would, and that's not mentioning you would lose your job. He then rubbed his head. That's not counting that the pizzeria is closing this year. On Harry's face, there was an expression of deep thought before he sighed. You guys don't need to worry about what happens after the pizzeria closes. Not anymore. Her eyes narrowed. Rose leaned towards him. Yes, you mentioned that a number of times without actually stating why. As he looked at each of the animatronics and people, Harry took a deep breath and considered what kind of reactions he was about to get. Remember how I had to talk with Remus and Sirius about how they could make up the issues from recently? He got nods from all those who were there. Well, I don't know how you'll take this. With the expression of compassion, Jacob got up from where she sat next to her toy counterpart and walked over to Harry, where she kneeled down and placed her hand on his shoulder. We're not going to be mad at you, Harry. All of us have been worrying, knowing all of us who have been worrying know that you've been working hard on a solution. Taking a deep breath, Harry looked into her expressive eyes and nodded. Okay, then. Once more, he looked around. There is no simple way to say this, but with the help of Remus and Sirius, I brought the pizzeria and everything in it. Silence stretched on for several minutes as all there kept trying to wrap their minds across what they had heard. Finally, Rose blinked and looked at Harry. I'm sorry, Harry, but Could you repeat that? I wanted to make sure that I heard you correctly. Harry took a deep breath and then let it out. Through Remus and with serious help, I've brought the pizzeria and everything inside it. We're just waiting for the final paperwork to go through, along with the final amounts to be decided on by the end of the month. But no matter what happens from this point onwards, you guys are all safe. Seeing the expressions, he mistook them for something else. I'm sorry, guys. I know that me buying you a pizzeria makes it seem like I'm thinking of you like objects, but I'm not. The night guard got cut off as Chica and Rose pulled him to hug, soon followed by Bonnie, Freddie, and Foxy, as all of them started jumping up and down in excitement. Not too long after, they pulled away with smiles on their faces as their eyes glistened from the lens cleaning fluid that leaked out. It was Freddie who spoke. His voice thick with emotion as he felt a large weight lift off his shoulders. Hey, we don't know what to say to you. This is the best thing that could happen to us. You would not believe the weight that you lifted off us with this. Placing his hook on Harry's shoulder as to not harm him, Foxy nodded. You didn't have to do this, and I can't believe that the management made it cheap. Still, just a shame. This old sea dog truly appreciates it. With a gulp, Andrew stepped forward some and took the hat from his head as he fiddled with it. Mr. Harry, what about us? Confused, Harry blinked at the question. What do you mean? Chewing her lip, Rebecca wrung her pores some as she looked anywhere but him, but he could see how she was trying not to cry. What about us? Thanks, Dave, but what about us? Having realized what she meant, Harry looked down at the fearful but hopeful Vicky in his arms before he walked around the table and smiled at the toys. I said all of you are safe. I meant you too as your family, like they said. All of their expressions brightened some before they rushed in and hugged him. Sadly, they were not quite used to their strength, and nearly crushed him before the others pulled them off. While she whimpered with her hands in front of her face, Chelsea looked down at the floor. Sorry. Still trying to get more air into his lungs, Harry just waved her off. It's okay, Chelsea. After a few moments, Harry got his breathing under control and patted them on their arms to show no bad feelings as he smiled. Then the wizard turned towards Erica. I do have a question for you, Erica. With her arms crossed, Erica shrugged a bit. Go ahead and shoot. To make it quick, I need to make sure that I get started on them soon if I want to be done with at least an initial survey of their bodies. That caused Harry to smile some. You mentioned that you were studying to be an animatronic engineer, right? I don't know. He continued. Your end of term is coming up soon. So what are you going to do after that? Now I'm really confused. Erica thought it over some and frowned. Get a job somewhere, I guess? Maybe do some robotics work for an amusement park, maybe for Halloween or something. Why? I think glanced at the electronics. Harry's tongue became rather dry. Well, I know some students that will. Wait, hold on. I said that wrong. Well, I know some animatronics that will need someone to repair them and give them upgrades. Someone who I can trust not to harm or destroy them. Who could be trusted with their secrets. Erica tapped her chin and thought. Well, I do know some people who might be trusted, and ow, Michelle! That woman just gave her annoyed look before she rolled her eyes. Suddenly it clicked, and Erica's eyes widened as she pointed at herself. You mean me? Seriously? But I'm only a student. Starting, Harry smiled. One who apparently knows her way around animatronics. You did say that you helped a friend of the family in the States during the holidays on the set of a local animatronics show, right? With a slow nod from her, Harry smiled. So you already know a bit. Now, I don't know how much I can pay you off the bat, so I'll mention it to Miss Sirius. But you should get a bit, as well as funds to repair these guys fully. Lips dry, Erica looked over at the animatronics, who were now all giving her pleading looks, which caused her to internally groan. No fair, you bunch. No fair at all. Finally, she sighed. Okay, I'll do it then. However, as they cheered, she held up a hand. But I need to get started on getting prepared ASAP. It'll probably take a month for some of the more similar things, and I got my own project eggs on the go. That said, I'm worried about Vicky. Blinking, Vicky looked up from where she had placed her head on Harry's shoulder. Why? The answer that she got was not what she had been looking for as Erica grimaced. Out of all of them, your endoskeleton? Heck, your entire body is the worst off damage-wise. The longer we wait, the harder it will be to repair you. I would love to take you home tonight, but Rose began to pace. Management will start doing inventory checks if they're going to sell. That means they'll notice that Vicky is missing from the basement. That caused all sorts of unpleasant questions. However, it was Shiga who came to the rescue. Maybe not. You can't have been the only one to notice how damaged she is, right, Erica? The woman in question nodded. So why can't we spread some of her spare but broken parts around the basement in a pile? Make them think that she finally gave up the ghosts and fell apart, or was taken apart by the others. Thinking it over, Harry nodded. That could work, though we'll need to come up with an excuse. Maybe wait a few days and tell them that I heard a lot of noise from downstairs to the vents. They'll check and discover that Mangled is in pieces and then probably forget about it. With a smile, Erica clapped her hands as she nodded. Great! In the meantime, though, I'm gonna look you guys over and take some notes on what needs to be really fixed before we leave for home. That way, I can do some research and start looking for what will be needed. With a sigh, Harry looked over at Vicky as she settled into the back there of his car. How are you doing? Her eye movement moved around a bit as she found that she could. Then, Vicky tilted her head. A bit better, I guess? Then looked to where she could see Erica softly talking with Michelle and some of the animatronics. Are you sure that'll be safe? Surprised at the trust that she showed him, Harry smiled and placed his hand on her head. I trust both her and Michelle, as well as Lisa. Now you can just relax some, and everything will work out soon enough. As she nodded, Harry gently pulled a blanket over Vicky to hide her from anyone that might look in. Good night, Harry. Before he shut the door, Harry chuckled to them. Good night, Vicky. Having shut the door, Harry looked around the empty, shadow-filled parking lot. Then he turned and walked over to where the three women were. Vicky settled in for the drive. Looking at it from her notes, Erica blinked at it. Oh, right. She then looked at her watch and gave a whistle. Man, it's 3 o'clock. God, this has been a long day. Michelle looked over at them as they continued to talk before she walked over to Freddie and Rose and cleared her throat to get her attention. I wanted to ask you something. The two shared a look and then turned back and gave her a nod. I was wondering if you had anything planned for Harry's birthday coming up. There was silence for a moment before Rose's eyes widened and she leaned in. What? Harry didn't tell us anything about his birthday coming up. Confused, Michelle blinked at them both. Wait, you didn't know that his birthday was coming up? At the curious shake of their heads, she scratched the back of her head. Huh. Go figure. With a frown, Freddie leaned in. Any idea when it is? I know that any birthday will be his 15th. Slightly confused as to why they didn't know, she shrugged. We pulled it out of him during our trip earlier. He turns 15 this Monday, actually. Freddie thought this over before he looked to where Harry was still talking with Erica. Then he nodded and held out his hand to Michelle. I hate to cut this short, but I need to go talk with the others. Once she had shaken his hand, he handed him off to where he could see Chica, Bonnie, and Foxy with the toy animatronics behind him. Then Rose attracted Michelle's attention. As for what we'll do for him, we'll set up a party for him on Sunday night and early into Monday morning. You can also show up if you want with something for him. If Vicky's fixed, though, bring her as well. All Michelle did was nod before she smiled. I'll see you then. She then walked over to Lisa and gestured towards the car as she watched Freddie speaking with the other animatronics and see their shock. After a few moments, they narrowed their eyes as they started to talk. Come on, let's get into the car. It was not much more than 2 minutes later before Erica showed up and got in. However, she had to give Michelle a look as the woman was grinning with her window open as she leaned out of it. Okay, what did you do? There was a twinkle in her eyes as she glanced at her friend with a grin. Remember how I was angry at Harry for not telling me about magic and all that? Not to mention everything else today. Lisa glanced at the blanket where she could see Vicky looking out. Yes? With that grin on her face, she chuckled. Not anymore since I got him back. At their looks, she raised one finger. Wait for it. Suddenly, Rose's voice drifted out of the night through the door as Harry re-entered the pizzeria. And when the bloody hell were you going to tell us that your birthday was this Monday, Harry? They could all hear Harry stutter some. Well, I was, that is, I am, his deep voice booming, Freddie could be heard as well. I'm very disappointed in you, Harry. It's your 15th birthday. She could then gasp, Harry! Finally, as more voices joined, they could hear Harry's voice, all for it. Giggling, Michelle closed the window and motioned for Erica to get going. And there we go. All Erica did was face palm. It was a few days later that Harry was sitting back in the security office chair reading a magazine when he looked at the clock. Nearly 7. He stretched some with a yawn as he knew that the day guard was doing a round in the building. Then he heard the sound of the door open and got up. There we go. Harry entered the hall at the same time as his boss, the pizzeria manager, walked around the corner. The man was surprised for a moment before he narrowed his eyes with a grunt. Potter, what are you doing here? For a brief moment, Harry considered what he was about to do, but then mentally shrugged it off. Well, I thought that you should know about something that happened on the night shift. Looking around furtively, the man growled before he got up in Harry's face and hissed. You signed a non-disclosure agreement, boy. You're not to talk about the night shift to anyone under threat of legal recourse. Having long been used to his uncle, the manager's actions barely phased him as he shrugged. I am aware of that, but what happened was out of the usual. For a few seconds, Harry gave hope to the idea that the manager was about to burst a brain vessel or suffer a heart attack due to his coloring. They came to know. I heard a loud crash last night, with boxes or crates falling. Confused, the manager frowned. So, what does that have to do with anything? Grimacing, Harry sighed a bit, knowing it would annoy his manager. Sir, I checked the cameras as well as all my morning patrol. There was no sign anywhere of what could have caused the crash, but it came from the vents. There was a pause before the manager answered. The vents, you say? Slowly, Harry nodded as he placed his hands into his pockets. Yes, sir. The crash came from the vents. Sounds like it came from the basement, actually. His face turned hues. The manager shoved his face again into Harry's as he yelled, You did not think to check down there for the cause? All Harry did was reach into his pocket and take out a piece of cloth and then wipe his face off. No, sir, mainly because I'm not allowed down there without another employee present, and I thought to report to you first, sir. If anything, Harry's calm and collected attitude caused the manager to get even more pissed off, but he swallowed it and pointed towards the basement door. Open it now. With a nod, Harry walked to the door, or closely followed by the manager. He then proceeded to search through his keys slowly, noting that each second increased the annoyance of the hated man behind him until he finally unlocked the door and opened it. After turning on a light, the two walked down the stairs and began to look through the basement, past the boxes. Finally, they found what Harry knew that they would. There was a bunch of broken and bent skeleton parts, along with dented pieces of Miguel's costume, as well as a head. On top of the pile was a large crate. Well, I guess that we know what happened now. As he growled, the manager whirled on him and poked him in the chest. Is that all you got to say? He then pointed at the remains of Miguel. We just lost an animatronic, you piece of shit. And just as we sold this place in the animatronics. Harry did not comment on what was said, only for his eyes to widen some as he whirled on toy Bonnie / Rebecca, who was present due to the time of day. It was likely the fault of you freaks. Looking around, Harry noticed not just Rebecca, but Chelsea, Andrew, and Robbie in the place. Shit, they weren't supposed to be here. When he heard the manager mention scraping them, he cleared his throat to distract him. What are you talking about, sir? They're just animatronics, so they can't do anything. Once more, or is that one more? I guess it's supposed to be once, but it says one. Once more, the manager got into his face. Do not get started with me, boy. I only hired you as a favor for an old school buddy of mine, and I will not take any lip from the likes of you. However, Harry just blinked. The fact that he grew up with the likes of the Dursleys meant that it rolled off him like what? Like water off a duck's back. Sir, I really do not know what you mean. You've told me yourself that the hedgehogs can't do anything. Harry could hear the teeth grinding in the man's mouth as he continued. Besides, if someone has bought this place in the animatronics, I don't think they would like a group of them being scraped beforehand. For a moment, the manager's fist clenched as it seemed like he wanted to hurt Harry. However, he simply grabbed Harry and shoved him towards the stairwell. Get the hell out of here! The group of the four animatronics followed the two as the argument continued. That night, Harry was reading a newspaper when he heard a sound, and he looked up to see Rebecca leading into the room. Hey there, Rebecca. What's wrong? Nervous, the rabbit animatronic looked in and looked around before she spoke up. We heard you this morning. Me and the others. Hers drooped a bit. Why did you let yourself go and get in trouble? Harry slowly got out of the chair before he walked over and hugged her. I did it so that he would focus on me, not you guys. Instead of deciding to scrap you, he instead docked my pay a little. Pretty good price to pay, in my mind, if it means keeping you bunch safe and happy. After he pulled away, he gave her a pat on the shoulder before he left the room. Becca watched him leave, but a few minutes later she jumped as Chica spoke up from behind her. Surprised you, huh? The rabbit animatronic turned to see Chica looking towards Harry, turned to Chica looking towards where Harry had gone. He always does his best to look after us and make sure that we're safe and happy. That's why I see him as a big brother of sorts. Tilting her head, Rebecca frowned a bit. Big brother? All Chica did was nod. Yeah, he's like a big brother to all of us. Some minutes later, Rebecca softly smiled. He is, isn't he? I always wanted a big brother. Still deep in thought several minutes later, Rebecca watched as Harry walked up to where Foxy had been playing Scrabble with Freddie buying a rose when a voice startled her. Something wrong, Becca? For a moment, she held a paw against her chest to calm her heart before she remembered that she would no longer had a physical one and let it drop. I forgot about that. Shaking it off, she turned to where Andrew, Chelsea, and Robbie were watching her. It's nothing. Just remembering something that Chica said about Mr. Harry. That caused Andrew's eyebrow to raise some as he rubbed the back of his head. So, what did she say then? Crossing her arms across her chest, Rebecca sighed some. Remember how they said that they were all one family, and how we were part of it along with Mr. Harry? At their nods and confused expressions, she continued as down at the table Harry was whispering into Fox's ear. Well, I know that his Aunt Rose is an animatronic like us, but Chica told me that Harry is like their big brother. He takes care of them, protects them, makes them happy and all that. Chelsea leaned up next to her friend as she frowned. That sounds like a big brother, all right? Having taken off his hat, Andrew frowned some. So, what is the problem? Now shy, Rebecca could feel a ghostly sensation of heat in her cheeks. Well, you know how Mr. Harry came down into the basement to find us, right? Even though the bodies we were in were really dangerous before, didn't need to add the words we possessed them. Though the other three knew this. And he let us up every night so that we're not stuck down there in the scary darkness. Not to mention him standing up that scary man who wanted to a shudder run through them before Chelsea placed her hand on Rebecca's shoulder. Are you saying what I think you are? The other rabbit nodded a bit as she looked at Harry. He's really brave and stuff. I told Chica when she told me that he was like their big brother, that I always wanted one, and he was acting like a big brother to us too. While he rubbed his chin, Andrew frowned some. Well, he is a lot nicer than the older boys in the home that we were told to call Big Brother. He's not mean to us and such. Robbie bounced a bit as his mouth opened in a grin. So he's a Big Brother, right? The other three Harry presented a shared look before they slowly nodded. That only made Robbie bounce even more in Blue Boy's body. Oh, wow, I always wanted a big brother. He didn't stop and frowned. For a little one. But Mom and Dad always told me it's my own business before they sent me out to drop something off at their friends. With a soft smile, Chelsea leaned down and gave him a gentle hug. Well, it looks like we've all got a family. Down below, Harry glanced up at toy animatronics before he turned back to Foxy. Okay, you want to end this? The pirate snorted a bit, but continued. But all you gotta use is... Oh my god, he's helping Foxy cheat. After he whispered the word and spelling into Foxy's ear, the pirate whipped his head around. You must be pulling my leg of such a thing. When Harry shook his head, Foxy rubbed his chin and nodded. I be trusting you. The pirate then placed the letters down on the scoreboard that was set up. Moments later, Rose, Bonnie, and Freddie leaned over to look. With a sigh, Rose face-palmed. You had to go and use that word from the movie, didn't you? Freddie nodded with a scowl. Supercali, whatever that is, could not be a real word. Slowly, though, Harry grinned and turned to Foxy. Mind getting the dictionary from my office, Foxy? Jumping up, Foxy dashed to the security office and ignored Chica, who was going through the cameras curiously as he grabbed the dictionary. He then brought it back to Harry, who opened it and began flipping through it until he stopped. Here we go. The security guard then held it out to the others. See? Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious is, in fact, a real word. All was silence for several moments as Bonnie, Rose, and Freddie digested this. Then, for the first time, it was not Foxy who flipped the board in anger. Instead, it was Freddie. I do not believe this! Ah, that was so good. Although I'm a little confused how you could spell such a big word. Then again, I don't know the rules of Scrabble, so who knows? Maybe that works, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. But yeah, that's the end of chapter 9. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, be sure to subscribe, and comment down below how you're enjoying this. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, the chapter link is in the description below. Oops. But hopefully you know that by now, I guess. Yeah, if you want to check out the other chapters, there is a playlist at the bottom below. You click here, I guess. If it shows up, it probably has, but yeah, click to see the other chapters, I guess. And I'll see you guys next Friday with a new video. Bye!